So my name is Thiago Prado. As Sharon introduced me, I am the Diversity, Equity, Inclusion Consultant within HR for the city of Saskatoon. I go by the pronouns he and him. And I'm here today to talk to you about what the city is doing to support diverse hiring. I'm very honored to be invited to be here today because I was once a newcomer back in 2006 when I came to Brazil. And I know the challenges that newcomers and all other equity groups face it in trying to find like a job here in Canada. All right, like I put this slide here, but we were debating of should we talk about our corporate values or not? Is internal processes, but anytime that I have the opportunity to be reminded about our values, I think it's great. And we'll take this opportunity today because everything that we're talking about ties directly to our values, like our corporate values. That are something that are guiding our decisions and behaviors. And I will highlight the first one, people matter. Like because we are working together to make that the city of Saskatoon more welcome to everyone. And people here, we try to, or we try no, I think we are working on putting then people first, right? And then following respect and integrity, safety, trust, and courage. All right, so the city of Saskatoon recognizes its responsibility to support a diverse workforce that's representative of the city of Saskatoon population. So the city's strategic plan renews our commitment to support a diverse workforce that's representative of the city of Saskatoon. Most recently, I wouldn't say recently, but maybe September 2020, if I'm correct, like April and Gus and Tini are here to correct me if I'm wrong, but City Council passed 3 motions related to addressing systemic barriers in recruitment, retention, engagement, and participation in city boards and committees, right? So those 3 motions were essential to form a group, like or bring together. Me and Brad were talking about earlier here with Cheryl about like a cooperation, and that's what that 3 motions made. Like they got departments to come together and working in ending systemic inequalities with the city, like systemic barriers. So a group was formed like across department from HR to community development and other divisions to really help advance those programs and ending systemic barriers with the city of Saskatoon. We also wanted to recognize that we are an equity partner with the Saskatchewan Human Rights Commission. So the city has developed like a workforce target for 4 equity groups: Indigenous, visible minority, which includes newcomers, LGBTQ2S+, like religious accommodations. We also have persons with disability and women. So the commission, the Saskatchewan Human Rights Commission requires the city to submit the annual report for our equity plans and the metrics of the plan, right? To show the success and the challenges of the plan during that year. And another thing, as part of what for one city approach, I just mentioned that we are working this cooperation and collaboration with other divisions, this cross-departmental project. So as part of one city approach, our departments are working together more with a focus in identifying and addressing barriers in our recruitment and selection process. All right. Okay. We have commenced, I would say like we have not have commenced, we started this years ago, the creation of a strategy document. But you know, in the diversity, equity, inclusion space is always changing, right? It's always something new. But we commenced the document to understand the vast challenges that we have, specifically the impact that colonialism had on a number of policies and procedures at the city. So, and then by doing that, we came up with 3 questions. So how do we effectively attract a diverse workforce? Then the outline plans for continuous improvement in our metrics. And how do we remove systemic barriers and challenges that prevent us from achieving a representative workforce? So how can we adopt leading inclusive recruitment practices? And then how do we remove systemic barriers? So basically, those are DI goals that will increase the attraction and retention of a diverse workforce. Our approach. So how did we approach the work? So I'm just going to lower the microphone a little bit here. So the overall aim of this strategic intent is focusing on effectively recruiting and retaining diverse employees that are representative of the city of Saskatoon. So the first one is the bias in the selection process by basically adopting inclusive practices. Establishing partnership, I think this is one of the most important things. Like we're talking about going out and building relationships with the community, with our associations, of our agencies, right? So it's basically establishing those partnerships with the community association, right holders, stakeholders, to feed our talent pipeline. We need to hear from the community the challenge that they face, right? And to inform our workforce practices. And another one that's very important too is engaging with those with lived experiences. So basically at the beginning of the design of our strategies to inform and guide our internal practice, we need the lived experiences to inform like how to build a strategy and how also to eliminate systemic barriers. So this also includes a focus in removing systemic barriers in pre-employment challenges that prevent us from retaining a representative workforce. So the idea of building relationship and collaborate and hearing the lived experiences, we know now but this is also for the future that will make us like a better employer, a better employment of choice. And then the last one here is implement an accountability framework. We need our leaders to be accountable for what they do, right? And this basically is to influence a cultural change for people, leaders, and unions, because the city has like 14 unions, 12, sorry, 12 unions. So that reflects the importance of hiring and retaining a diverse workforce. So we are in the process of still doing this work. Will take a lot because we go through like a huge like educational campaign for our leaders to understand the value of diversity, equity, inclusion in the workplace. So I want to talk about a few key highlights that are ongoing and some are already completed at the city of Saskatoon. When I say ongoing, because, and as I said, it's a journey and probably will take like a long time to do. The review of the recruitment process should help the bias the selection process and better collect diversity metrics, right? So recruiting diverse solutions, like for example, one of the things that we implemented in the review the recruitment process was the implementation of ATS system, which the acronym falls for Applicant Tracking System. It's a software that employs like artificial intelligence to improve job descriptions, identify qualified candidates, and export full candidates' profiles among other tasks. So using of that technology has been helping us to make sure that we are screening properly our candidates. Another thing that I talk here is the review of job description and job postings to reduce barriers for applicants. So a major step in recruiting diverse candidates involves taking a look on job descriptions and job posting. Since job postings and should be based on job descriptions, like all job postings are based on the job descriptions, it's important to review both with the following, with some considerations. And the considerations are like, is the language being attractive to diverse candidates? Is the language being inclusive? Like our qualifications, are they properly, I was just talking to Kevin about qualifications before here. Are the qualifications like properly being asked there? Do we need to change something? So that's gonna take time because like now we are probably about 4,000 average people in the city of Saskatoon, and we are in the process of review all job descriptions and creating new ones. But ensuring that when we're creating these new job descriptions, they already come with this inclusive language. They already come like open for the diverse workforce. Also, like another thing, like I mentioned about this partnership, so establishing of partnership with other associations and those with lived experience, that's very important to the city of Saskatoon. That collaboration with partners, we don't have that outreach to see who is out there looking for jobs. Though those organizations, associations are helping us, the community are helping us, not just to review our policies and procedures, but also to present to us that workforce that are somewhere out there, right? And we've really valued the partnership. I can see a few from like IWS, right? I can see a few partners here, and we really wanted to establish those relationships again and get back. We are 2 years or 3 years of the pandemic, virtual, not doing much, but we are back on track, right? And me and Gus, we like to be out in the community. We like to be seen. We like to be talking to you. So we're going to make sure that we can reinforce and reestablish those partnerships with our community partners. Providing information to candidates. So like workshops, career fairs, information sessions, that's all available. 2 weeks ago, we had a career fair. I think it was the first one that the city did by itself, right? Where we had like a lot of good, it was a good turnout, a lot of people attending. We were able to having managers on spot on the site, like hiring on that time. So you come with a resume, drop off a resume. So you were scheduled for interview. You go in the back, you have your interview done there. We had like a lot of positive feedback from our partners, from our communities, and we want to ensure that we can do more of that. Not just like the city of Saskatoon, but also participate in other career fairs with our for the organizations and associations out there. And one thing that is internal, but I want to make sure that I highlight this year is the development of a new self-declaration plan process and forms. So our self-declaration is stagnant. It's like we don't have new language, and we are not like we don't have the proper language in our self-declaration. So one of the initiatives this year is to review that self-declaration and to make sure we are expanding and capturing all the data needed. Because although we, like for me, like we look into numbers, but our goal here is to drive mindsets. Numbers are important and they're gonna tell our story. The metrics here in the self-declaration are important. We need to know who is coming to the city of Saskatoon, who is applying for jobs. But the real goal here is to drive mindsets for our leaders to understand the value of the diverse workforce. And I think my last slide here, the way forward, the city is committed to equity and inclusion for diverse employees at work and to foster a sense of inclusion and belonging. Again, I will go back to reinforce and ensure relationships and partnerships are current and in good standing with our associations and communities out there. Also provide that information for candidates about jobs available and the recruitment process. Perhaps one thing that a lot of people don't know, that like they can contact the city of Saskatoon direct. Like our talent acquisition team is always available to answer those questions, right? You can come like after the presentation here, talk to me or Gus to see how can you can have that contact to the talent acquisition team. But as I mentioned in the slide before, we provide information sessions in terms of hiring practice at the city of Saskatoon. We're also in our plan, like the building resumes, so helping like newcomers as well as all other groups to helping them to build their resumes and make sure that they have like the proper application for for the job that they're applying for. And that's my thing here. Flip it over. So how do I do that? Exit. Okay. Exit that. Okay. Which one? This? Chrome. This one? Okay, how does a newcomer get their resume noticed when applying online for a career with the Saskatoon, city of Saskatoon? And I mentioned before about working with other agencies or organizations. Like we have a kind of it's not this relationship helps us a kind of a guideline in terms of because we don't know we have received many applications, we don't know who was applying, who's a newcomer, who is not. But one thing that we are working with other organizations and other associations like Saskatchewan Intercultural Association, Saskability, like pretty soon International Women of Saskatoon and all other organizations, is that they reach out directly to us and then they let us know if, like, for example, someone apply. So, and then we can go back to our talent acquisition team and say, okay, we have this resume. Can you take like a better look in that resume, right? So is that contact direct? Like, although the ATS, it does the screening, sometimes it gets missed. But yeah, if you can, or another thing that I said, I just email the talent acquisition team, say, okay, I apply for this job. Can you take a quick look on this? Because the system like is a broad system, goes to like different places, different portfolios. So if you can have that connection with one of the organization, one association, or email the talent acquisition direct, like we make sure that that the resume is visualized. Does a permanent resident need to have a Canadian experience in order to be considered for? No, not anymore. I don't know if it was ever, but I was just talking to Brett about Canadian experience. I don't like that. Right? So nobody else in the world will have African experience. Nobody asks for you for European experience or for Asian experience. Why are you asking for Canadian experience? No, experience, period. Right? So if you have experience, don't shy yourself to apply for a job in the city of Saskatoon. So we value our experiences from all over. So don't be afraid to apply for jobs. And you're concerned about Canadian experience. That's no there. Yeah. So how does diversity hire? I think I answered all those questions before. But how does diversity hire? For union. Yeah. So this is a process, right? So unions, we have we are in a unionized environment, and we follow the collective bargaining agreement. But one of the new initiatives is to forming working groups with the unions, diversity, equity, inclusion working groups with the unions. This is the process that it's ongoing, is already stamped in the paper, and we're starting pretty soon. And the idea or the goal of this working with those working groups is to educate those union leaders. So we're going to go through a lot of educational campaign to educating those leaders in terms of the value of diversity, equity, inclusion, and really see how can we change those policies in terms of seniority hiring versus qualified hiring from external, right? So this is a process that's ongoing. I would just ask you to, hold a little bit until we get that process developed and the leaders on board with the union leaders on board and with this project. Yeah, so why are there so few visible minorities in the Saskatoon Police Service? Is the city of Saskatoon? No, the city of Saskatoon is not. Although we help them or working kind of in collaboration, we are not. They have their own human resources. They are considered boards and corps, so they have their own human resources. They do their own hiring, right? I don't know the data for the visible minorities at the police right now, so I can't speak for that. But the answer for the city of Saskatoon responsible for hiring, like, no, we have nothing to do with their hiring process. I think like the city of Saskatoon want to do the resume workshops more specifically for the city hiring, right? Like we thank other organizations doing those things there, but like a lot of people, like they go through those organizations and they say, "Oh, I just got a question here. Is my resume visible or not?" So we want to make sure that we do those workshops specifically for the city of Saskatoon, right? Of course, we'll help you with your other applications and other places out there, but it's just to ensure that the format and everything like that we are asking for is on that resume. So if you consider apply for jobs at the city of Saskatoon, and we want you. Yeah, unfortunately, like I have applied for over 20 times for positions. I know I apply for, I think, 35 times for the city of Saskatoon, right? And since 2006, I have been submitting my resume. But there's something that I'm changing. Like, so, as I said, I was a newcomer once and also part of a visible minority group. So my job here and my goal now is to ensure that we break those barriers, right? And in terms of looking for those qualified candidates that are out there, and we know they are out there, right? And as I said before, we wanted them to be employed by the city. Yeah, so that's a good question. So I don't know, like Gus is from the talent acquisition team. He probably could answer better than me. And I don't know if we have, like with this new application, if we have somewhere that we could, like, state our lived experience there. But like we also ask for a cover letter. So in the cover letter, they can probably like have that lived experience. When I submit my cover letter, I put my entire life there. So I don't know if they read or not, but it was there. So how does the seat perform with effect diverse targets? Yeah, so that's another good question. As I said, we're partners with the Saskatchewan Human Rights Committee, and we benchmark with the like our with their metrics. So it's a good question, and I'd like to have like a best answer, but and that's what I put it like in our slide in one of our internal process, which is the self-declaration. We are in the process of review that self-declaration. Our numbers, like, because I don't think our numbers now are accurate in terms of, can I say, okay, we're doing good or doing bad? Doing the new implementation of the software that we have implemented in the last two years and a half. But like the idea is to have this self-declaration revised it and have and expanded to capture all other equity groups. So and then I'll be able to answer that question better. I had a question. I presented yesterday at the Black History Month. Like we had an event for the Black History Month, and one of the questions from one of the panelists is like, how many Black employees you have in the city of Saskatoon? And unfortunately, I didn't have. I want to have that answer, but unfortunately, I don't have that. I didn't have that answer on that time. But the idea it is so. The new self-declaration is on the oven, is in the oven, is baking, and it's probably like being out soon. And then we'll be able to tell better like our numbers in the future. Yes, there is a way to volunteer with the city of Saskatoon. I don't know who do we talk to. Like I had that question before. It depends of what time of volunteer. Advisory committees. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I tag. Yeah, and community associations. That's right. Yeah. Like I'm more HR, more internal focus, so I don't know much about it. Thanks, Kevin and Cheryl for backing me up here. I see no more questions. Oh, one. Sorry.
My question was a little bit too much to put in a box, so I thought I just could ask it. I'm an employment program coordinator, and so I often counsel our clients not to provide protected human rights data, so things like about their personal identity. And so with these kinds of policies, would that make it more likely if they did answer those screening questions, or to have their resume seen by the ATS, or is it not going to make a difference? It's only based on their qualifications.
Like good question, like very good questions. I am one of the things about the self-declaration, and you said, is voluntary. Like a lot of people don't feel comfortable, like you self-declare or disclosing their status. Like I would say, it's not going to make them advance. It's all based on, it's going to be based on their qualification. But we do want to see like who is applying for jobs here and where they're coming from, right? I just answered a question. I just brought a question about how many Black employees have in the city of Saskatoon and they're advancing or not. I do believe that it's probably not helping in terms of I am a visible minority. I'm gonna get a job just because I self-declare. No, of course, it's going to be through the qualification process because you want to make the process equal and equitable for everybody. But I do believe, like by self-declaring, you were show your real identity, where you're coming from, and also you help us with the metrics in terms of developing new policies and procedures in the future to advance these programs with the city of Saskatoon for equity groups. So, answer to your question, no, like no is not going to make a lot of difference. But at the same time, yes, will make us like look into our policy and procedures and understand better our workforce by having that data. There's one more question. We'll be there. Learn more about cross-cultural awareness. I don't know. Like, I don't have that answer now in terms of cross-cultural awareness. Like, if we have that, we're gonna have material available. We're ensuring that we're having that. Like, we'll provide that internally to our leaders. But like externally, I don't know much about it. Is that something that I'm missing? No. Yeah, as I said before, it's more internal training than external. But we do like have like our like partnership with our associations, and we do offer like information sessions about our process, like about our processes and our policies, but not about cultural awareness. No, I don't think we have that in our goals. No more questions? Yes? Okay, thank you.